On today's video, we're making over-the-top hatch green chili. We're using a bone-in pork butt, this Dutch oven, and I've got my full-size Smokeslinger here. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Frank Cox. I'm known as the Barbecue Pit Engineer, and this is my full-size Smokeslinger. Like I said, on today's video, we're gonna be doing this over-the-top hatch green chili. Before we dive right into that, I would like to talk a little bit about how to set up the Smokeslinger for this cook. If you're new to Smokeslinger, this thing is like a Leatherman or a Swiss Army knife of cookers. That's really what separates it apart from everybody else's direct heat smoker. Not gonna do a sales pitch, but this is a point where you probably wanna pay attention if you're interested in one of these smokers, because we're gonna talk about how to set up reverse flow mode. So reverse flow mode operates very similar to a regular reverse flow smoker. The only difference is we're doing it in a much more compact area. What that does for us is it gives us the ability to use radiant heat for an awesome cook like this, where we could actually do like a Dutch oven cook in this cooker, but at the same time, we're able to reverse flow smoke a pork butt using a combination of coals or wood in this pit. So here, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into setting this smoker up, and I'm gonna go over some of its components. Okay, so this is my full-size Smokeslinger. You've likely seen it in previous videos on the channel where I actually take this thing apart and put it back together. So I'm just gonna hit this really short and sweet. Basically, we've got two charcoal baskets. On the full-size Smokeslinger, that allows us to either burn a fire here, burn a fire there, or burn two fires if we want. In this case, we're just gonna light a fire on this left side. Doesn't really matter which side you pick, just pick one, and you're gonna set it up this way. So I'm burning on the left side with my fire over here, and right above this is a row of tuning plates. And that row of tuning plates can be pulled out, put in, moved around, whatever scenario we want to give us things like offset mode, super hot radiant heat mode for like doing 90-minute ribs. We can pull them completely out if we just wanna cook over embers. So in this case, I'm gonna go reverse flow. So I'm gonna slide all of these plates tight together all the way to this left side. Now what's gonna happen is my heat is directly below those plates, and that gives me a great spot to set this Dutch oven. So we're gonna get direct heat contact from that radiant heat hitting those tuning plates, which will go right into that Dutch oven, and it's gonna give us a very controlled amount of heat so that we can simmer all this good stuff together. And then when that air moves, we still get convection through here. All that air will come under the tuning plates, and then it'll go back up through a gap on this other side. Once our air gets up here, it's gonna spin around and go around the lid. Now, the full-size Smokeslinger also has exhausts on both sides. This is really important. The exhaust being on the side allows us to get some downward push on our air. Instead of just going straight out the lid like most people's exhaust does, ours actually spins down and goes out the side. But we have those vents on both sides. So when we're setting up different scenarios to cook in, such as offset mode, reverse flow, direct heat, things like that, we can actually open and close vents to manipulate the direction of air. So we're going to run the right side of these exhausts totally closed and the right side of our exhaust totally open. That's gonna make everything reverse in direction, and in order for us to get more air in, this air has to go out. So that air is gonna flow out this way naturally. So anyway, and that's where our pork butt's gonna go. So let's go ahead and jump on into this cook and get our Dutch oven stuff prepped. Okay, so for today's cook, our cooking rack setup is gonna be one on the top and one on the bottom. And this is gonna help us out because if I have the pork butt sitting over the top of this Dutch oven, I'm gonna be able to move that out of the way, do stuff in the Dutch oven, stir if I feel like it, whatever I gotta do, slide the pork butt back over and get it back over the top of the Dutch oven. This is really helpful because if you're cooking anything like this, if you need to get to that bottom rack, just having one on top, maybe two on the bottom, or one on top, one on the bottom, gives you a lot of flexibility whenever you're working with temperature zones in the Smokeslinger. So anyway, let's go ahead and get that part set up. Okay guys, so now we've got our fire lit in the charcoal basket. We've got the cooking grates in. We're gonna use an upper grate because my Dutch oven is too tall to fit on the bottom grate. It's a big 12 quart. So anyway, I pulled out the bottom grate. We're gonna set this Dutch oven, kind of calling an audible here right in the middle of the cook. I'm gonna put my Dutch oven directly on the tuning plates, and here's why. it's actually going to get direct heat contact directly from the tuning plates. And that's gonna help us to simmer whenever time counts. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna set our vents on the Smokeslinger, and then we're gonna go ahead and close this thing up and let it come up to temp. I'm gonna go ahead and put the Dutch oven right down on the tuning plates now so that we can start getting that heat rolling for when we start adding our aromatics and our oil and stuff like that to the pot. So anyway, here we go. First thing we're gonna do is set our air inlets all the way open on the left, which is where our fire is. Our right side's gonna be closed. Our right hand exhaust dampers are gonna be closed, and our left hand are gonna be all the way open to begin the cook. And then as we go forward, we can start to close things off. Now we're ready to start doing some prep. All right, guys, let's get into this pork prep. So you see how we set up our Smokeslinger. Now we're gonna make some green chili. This is gonna be fun. So today I've got a Prairie Fresh Naturals pork butt. You've heard me talk about this in other pork videos on this channel. Basically, I like this pork because it's really, really full of fat. Great marbling, stuff like that. I believe it is a heritage breed pork, but they don't really disclose what. It could be Berkshire crossed with Duroc for all I know. But anyway, that's an affordable pork butt you can get pretty much everywhere. We're not gonna get too crazy with trim. You've heard me talk about this in the past. Basically, I'm just gonna look for feather bones and stuff like that. Anything I wouldn't want to bite into. And that's what I'm gonna take off. Like I feel some feather bones right here. What a feather bone is whenever they cut this pork butt off, they cut right through cartilage, and typically that's left in there. So don't let it freak you out. All right, here we go. Now we're just gonna cut this little thing out like this, because that's kind of where those bones are sitting. And I don't want to bite into that. Got this gross looking vein thing here. We're gonna cut that out. Nobody wants to eat that. Look at the end of it. Yeah, we're good. Leave all that fat on there. We're gonna need that fat. We're not gonna do anything fancy to this. Basically, you're gonna use my clean hands, dirty hands rule. Take this glove off. I got me some good old Al Fragoni. If you know my buddy Al Fragoni, this is his Texas salt and pepper. Just gonna go salt and pepper basically. This is his mixture of his preferred salt and his preferred black pepper that he likes. We're gonna be adding so many things into that chili. We don't wanna get too crazy with a bunch of like a really sweet rub or anything that'll conflict. So while you could do that, it is completely unnecessary. The salt's gonna bring out all of the moisture basically. It's going to bring out the myoglobin and some of the protein juices, stuff like that, to the surface, which is going to help us get a beautiful bark, and that bark equals flavor. And AI did not tell me to say that. So I always think that when somebody says juices on camera that they're using AI to write their thing. No shame in that. Just can learn a lot. But anyway, we're going to let this sweat here for just a minute, and then I'm going to, as my buddy Carlton's Cooking says, I'm gonna bring you back. So, by the way, make sure and go check out Carlton's Cooking. It's his channel. I'm gonna tag him probably somewhere in the description. Went down and cooked a whole hog with him, helped him build a burn barrel and cooked a whole hog. Make sure you go check that video out. It was a lot of fun, and we did direct on the bottom with embers, the whole bit. So, by the way, you're gonna hear me talking about that whole embers thing a lot more on this channel, because we have a cool product coming out that everybody is excited about. So if you're in the know, go over to our Facebook group, Smokeslinger Pit Owners Group, over on Facebook. You'll see we've already been posting about it in there. It's pretty incredible. So I'm gonna bring you back. Okay guys, let's get this pork butt put on, and then we're gonna go ahead and build up some aromatics and stuff inside this Dutch oven and throw that on the pit under the grate. That's one reason why we have that grate where we can move it around. So let's put the pork butt on. Earlier I did add a little bit of cherry wood to the fire down there. And that's what all this smoke is right now. Been on there for about a half hour. So anyway, we'll go ahead and put this thing to bed. All right guys, we're gonna go ahead and get this Dutch oven prepped up. We're gonna go ahead and add some garlic in there and some onion. And we got a little bit of chicken broth we're gonna add. Then I've got some avocado oil. Avocado oil is just gonna be some fat to get started with. While we're cooking, we're gonna continue to render once this pork butt internal temperature gets up enough where it can render. So we're not gonna have to have like a ton of oil added in. The garlic and onion is self-explanatory, and the broth is just gonna keep us from scorching all the veggies. So let's go ahead and get this stuff prepped up. Okay, so that was 5 garlic cloves. Now we're just gonna mince up an onion. Pot. Boom, have to go. Let's go ahead and put about 1 cup of broth. This is quart, so you just gotta kind of guess a little bit. That's a little more than a cup. That'll be okay though. And we're only gonna do like 1 or 2 tablespoons of oil. Today I'm using avocado oil, and I don't know if you measure, doesn't really matter. Good enough. Okay, so right now we have the makings of a beautiful pot of green chili, man. This is gonna sit there on those tuning plates and just simmer. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna push that grate over, set this directly on the tuning plates right above our coal bed and our fire, and let it start cooking. We're not gonna use the lid right now. We're gonna leave this on there for about 2 hours, uncovered. Boom, look at that. We've got our Dutch oven directly on top of the tuning plates. The fire is right below. This is gonna come up to a really nice simmer, and it's gonna sit there and work those veggies. And then we're gonna slide this pork butt right over the top of it. And if you have to, you can kind of move that butt around a little bit just to make sure it's over. I really like that spot. And I just heard a sizzle. How beautiful is that? We're gonna go ahead and get this thing to cooking. See ya in, I don't know, I may check it in an hour. Let's see. Okay guys, so we got our pork butt on, we got our Dutch oven on, we got some veggies in there. Those are gonna start working their magic. Here in about an hour, we're gonna come back and we're gonna check on what that Dutch oven looks like inside. In the meantime, what I suggest you do is go down to the comments or the description, whichever, and look around in there. You're gonna see a link to go over to the Smokeslinger Pit Owners group. And I keep pushing that on you because it's such a phenomenal group of guys. Like those guys in there, you'll see the majority of them are real customers, and they've built such a tight-knit community full of really cool guys and gals that just love to cook on their Smokeslingers. The good thing about that group is not only the community, but also there's a files section. And when I do these videos, I typically try to come up with a recipe of some kind and a cooking timeline, along with some tips and tricks or something in a PDF document. If you go join the Smokeslinger Pit Owners group on Facebook, you'll be able to not only engage with the community, but you'll also have access to all of those files that I've written up, plus a whole bunch of their takes on how I'm doing it, some critiquing, some recommendations on how to tweak it a little bit and make it better, what their experiences are cooking stuff like this in the past. Like I know there's a whole bunch of guys from the Southwest in there. So anyway, that I know all have an opinion about everything I'm doing in this video, and I would love to hear their feedback. So join our community, don't miss out. And while you're at it, don't forget, like or wherever the bells and all the junk is, like and subscribe to this channel. I want to continue to bring you stuff like this. Like I got another Dutch oven recipe planned after this, and you've probably seen other cool videos on this channel already. Okay guys, it's time for our 2-hour check-in. Up until now, the only thing I've really done is I have added a little bit of lump charcoal to my charcoal basket. I did add a split a little while ago. And one other thing I wanted to tell you I've been doing is preheating my splits. So I'm using cherry wood, and I've got my splits over here. So I'm just taking one of those splits and I'm setting it on top of the closest tuning plate to the air gap, which is over on this side. And what that's doing is it's preheating that wood before I put it on the charcoal basket. If you notice, it's been a bit smoky in here. So I'm trying to kind of get that smoke knocked down by preheating that log. Preheating just helps your wood catch fire faster. It kind of shortens the dirty smoke phase when you add a log on any smoker, even a big offset. It does the same thing. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the other camera here. We're gonna take a look at what it looks like inside the cooker and make some adjustments. Pork butt looks beautiful. Now this is the side of the pit where our fire is directly below pork butt down here in this charcoal basket. And I've got the Dutch oven directly under this butt right here. We're gonna take a look at that here in just a second. It's important to notice this is where I put that split. It has no effect on airflow in this scenario because everything's coming straight up and rolling off the lid. This is just a great spot to preheat that log without it catching on fire. This is why we wanted to use one upper grate, so we could slide this totally out of the way and check out what's in the Dutch oven. So we've got the avocado oil, some chicken stock, and the pepper, or the onions and the garlic in there. And I did stir it a couple times, and I added just a little bit of chicken stock once. It was starting to get kind of a little bit dried out. So what we're gonna do now is I'm just gonna slide this Dutch oven over, but I gotta get this out of the way. I'm gonna try to do this one-handed. The way I do that, get this wood out of the way, is I would just move this tuning plate over a little bit. And you want to make sure there's not enough of a gap there that the Dutch oven will fall through. Actually, I'm going to shorten it just a hair. So I'm going to grab this Dutch oven and I'm going to put it right over the top here. And you want to make sure it's in a spot that your pork butt can actually get over it. Now I'm going to put my split back down, get it out of the way so that don't go in the pot. Here we go. So test fit just to make sure your pork butt sits over the top nicely like that. We could actually move it back just a little bit, but we're just now getting up to where we're getting a nice bark and we're starting to render. And this is the most important part of the cook. We don't want to lose all of that fat render. So what we did though is we moved off of the direct heat part right over the top of that coal basket, and we moved over so that now we're just going to get airflow up on those tuning plates. And we're going to catch all that render, and it's going to prevent our onions and our garlic from getting like all just mush. And actually we're making sort of a roux here. So there you go. The important thing about what we just did is we're letting that Dutch oven start to catch the fat that's rendering. We've got a really nice, almost like a roux established in the bottom of that Dutch oven. And we're gonna wanna go in there and stir that now about every 30 to 45 minutes, something like that, about the time we check our fire and add more lump charcoal or wood, whichever. But whenever we go in there, we're just gonna stir that a little bit. We just wanna make sure that it's not crusting up and sticking to the bottom. If we need to, we'll just add just a little bit more chicken stock just to kind of keep that liquid in there. But any minute now, we should start to get that render off of that pork butt, especially with the fat cap being down on this butt. It's going to start raining in that pot, and that's exactly what we're looking to do. We're getting a really nice foundation for that first layer of our chili base. Once we start getting a lot more render from this pork butt, that's when we're going to throw all of our veggies and extra stuff in there, the chilies, things like that. And eventually we're going to move into that braising phase, which is the part I'm the most excited about, because that means we're actually making chili at that point. So anyway, stay tuned here. Okay guys, it's time to get real. We're getting ready to take the Dutch oven out, put it up here on this counter. We're gonna throw in all the other veggies and the seasonings and stuff like that. And then we put in the chicken stock, or the chicken broth is what I used. I've got some of my prep done here. I'm just gonna chop up these onions and get these green peppers chopped up. The next thing I'm gonna do is pull that Dutch oven out, and we're gonna start throwing it all in and talk about that just a little bit. Once again, when we're chopping this stuff, we're not going too terribly fine on it. We wanna keep it a little bit coarse because it's gonna sit in here and basically become a stew in the Dutch oven as we cook for at least another 3 hours, maybe 4. For those asking, I learned my knife skills in shop class, so not in a culinary school. So, and this garlic, I'm gonna go ahead and chop it up just a little bit, just kind of mince it a little bit. I'll go ahead and talk about the ingredients here just a little bit. We put 5 cloves of garlic in when we first started. Like I said, they were just smashed. I'm putting another 3 in here. You can do about 6 to 8 cloves of garlic in this recipe. We're not afraid to get too chunky here. We don't want this stuff just to turn into really thin, you know, like just syrup in there. We want to let it, it's going to sit there and braise with this pork butt in that pot. I want to give it some time to develop and bloom and all this fancy chef words. Got some cumin, some paprika and black pepper, and then this little old bottle right here, some chili powder. So we're gonna throw all that in. You ready for me to get this out? Let's go. That pork butt is absolutely no joke. Look at this thing. Let me just get it out of here. Look at that thing. Oh my goodness. We're right now about 130 degrees internal temp, and that's rendering very, very nice. Starting to do what it do. And here's our, I'm gonna call it a roux of sorts. There's another word floating around. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's something like a fond. You smart guys in the comments might understand that. Right now, that garlic and the onion that I put in here earlier has been sitting in this with that avocado oil and the chicken broth, and it's basically turned into a really nice caramelized roux. Let me taste it. Oh. Stop, man. That's a really nice bite of caramelized onion right there, in case you can't tell. So let's put this in the pot. Putting in the onions and the garlic and the green pepper right now. Boom. This is gonna start to smell crazy. good in here. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do here is put in a little bit of avocado oil. The goal is to have about 3 tablespoons. This thing appears to be not quite a tablespoon, so I'm gonna put a little extra. We're gonna put our Rotel in, 3 cans. No affiliation with Rotel, by the way, just I like it. Okay, now we're gonna put our beer in, and I told you we're using a Colorado Kool-Aid, but it's the light version. And it wants about 12 ounces of this. Main reason for 12 ounces is so that I can drink the other 4 ounces. Justin Wilson, we used to call him Cooking Cajun. He always said a little bit for the thing and a little bit for the chef. A little bit of chicken broth, don't need much. Add what I got left here, because we've been adding that the whole time anyway. We're gonna throw in a tablespoon of cumin. Here it is. I'm just gonna measure in my hand. That's how I do it in the house anyway. But if you're fancy and you got one of them measuring spoons, go for it. Now we're gonna put in just a tablespoon of oregano, and I happen to have this little bag that I've been hanging on to in the pantry for a long time of this Mexican oregano, and man, does it ever smell good. 1 tablespoon of that, boom. Now we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of paprika, and 2 teaspoons is just short of a tablespoon. That looks about right. 1 to 2 teaspoons of chili powder. Let's put that in there. Where's my chili powder? Here's my chili powder. Man, you can hear that pork butt rendering back there like crazy. That's about 2 teaspoons. I like that. Kosher salt, 1 to 2 teaspoons here. And we got a teaspoon of black pepper. Feels very well rounded. I like just a little bit more. Boom, there we go, guys. Here, let's get the camera a good look at that. Hopefully you can see it. That looks muy beautiful. All right, stir that up a little bit. This is gonna sit there with all this liquid in it and mixed in with that thing they called a fond, F-O-N-D. Holy smoke, look at this thing. I'm telling you guys, we're gonna stick this back on there right underneath of the pork butt. The pork butt's gonna render in here. Whenever that pork butt gets up somewhere around 165 to 170 internal temp, that's when it's gonna be raining in here. The other thing we're gonna do is that's when we actually add the green chilies and some other stuff. Amazing here in a little bit. Let's put this back on the cooker. Golly. Now, I am stupid excited right now because I'm gonna smell that now for the next, I don't know, probably a couple hours. Maintain my fire, keep it rolling. Stay tuned, and here in a little bit, we're gonna come right back with adding more ingredients. Super excited, let's go. Okay guys, this is the moment I have been waiting for all afternoon. I am ready to put these chilies inside. So here's a quick shot of what the chilies look like here. So these chilies were roasted and blanched, which makes the skin kind of blister up a little bit. And then basically I just froze them. So I've got like 25 pounds of these chilies. This is about 2 pounds, and I just cleaned them a little bit. All I did is I peeled off the outside layer a little bit ago off camera. Now I just got to cut off the top of these chilies, and I'm not gonna pull the seeds out or anything. I'm just gonna leave them in there. I'm okay in this batch of chili for a little bit of heat. I'm just gonna go ahead and just add these chilies in there just like they are, just cut off the tops. We've just been maintaining our fire is all we've been doing, and keeping just one little split on there here and there. And we're preheating those logs as we go. I want to have bigger chunks. I don't want to have little tiny pieces, because if you have too small of pieces, we're braising this pork butt in here now, and we're going to be cranking our heat up quite a lot here in a minute. We're going to stretch the legs on this smoke slinger, and we don't want it to be too hot. We don't want it to get too mushy in there, so we're going to leave those in bigger chunks. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get the chili out of here. Look at that pork butt. And that's our chili in there giving us a good plop plop. That's about what you want. You just want that rolling little simmer like that. Nothing too crazy. Now we're gonna pull that pot out of here, put our green chilies in. You guys seen it just a minute ago. There's our chili. I don't know if you can see that real good in this camera. Right there. That's what it looks like so far. Now we're gonna put in the main ingredient. That's this green chili. Man, it smells absolutely insane. I never had this at no Mexican restaurant. That's for sure. Wow. Man, that actually pulled it all together. Now, we're gonna go ahead and put our pork butt in too. See if it fits. Oh yeah. We should be good here. Son of a gun, would you look at that? Oh my gosh. Look there. I don't know if you can see that, but I like it a lot. So what I'm gonna do, it is sticking up just a little bit taller than I'd like. So I'm just gonna kind of fillet the top off of this, just in here like this. Just gonna take a chunk of this off, stick it down in there, get it out of the way of the lid. Now we put the lid on, and we're gonna stick it right back in there. All right, guys, there we go. So we got our chili back in here. You'll see the pot, we put it on the lower rack. Now we're gonna run this temperature up on this cooker somewhere around 300, 325 to finish. And we'll see how it progresses over the next hour. Another option here, if you're doing this on some other style cooker that can't get hot enough or has wind blowing around, you could totally do this traditional Dutch oven style, which is put some coals right on top of the lid. We're not gonna do that right now, but we may bring that trick out later on if we need to. So we're just gonna let this run until that pork is tender and we can get that bone out of there and cube it up and put it right back in the chili. We're just gonna braise this until it gets tender, like fork tender, and we can like cube it up a little bit, pull the bone out. We may have to cut a little bit of meat off of the bone, but put it back in there and just let it continue to go. I'm gonna bring you back here in a little bit after we get that done. Okay guys, so it's been right at about 3 hours since we've put pork butt in with all the chili and all that. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out here real quick. I don't really go by temperature because that pork butt, like the internal temperature of it, that pork butt's completely submerged. And what I've noticed over my years of cooking barbecue is that when you have a pork butt that's like submerged in liquid, you'll never really get above 185 on the internal temp. So what I did instead is I flipped it over inside the pot and I just kind of checked it a little bit just to see what I thought as far as tenderness goes. And it felt really good. So another thing I wanted to point out real quick before I get started, you've seen these gloves laying up on the table here this whole time. So these are the new gloves by Hey Grill Hey, my friends over there, Todd and Susie. They're really, really good for handling like hot meat, pulled pork. If you're gonna take pork and set it out and like work with it and pull it, or pick up a brisket and move it, it's always good to have a set of hot gloves that you can pick up and handle food with. Problem with what I do here with, like, you always see my old trick, these white cotton gloves get so dirty and then you put a liner over them and that's clean to work with, but you could poke a hole through these little 5mm or 7mm gloves pretty easy whenever you're handling like a pork bone or something like that. So I'm gonna try these gloves out and I've had really good luck with them so far. If you want more information about these, go down to the description of the video. There's gonna be a link somewhere in there to go check these out. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the whole Dutch oven out here. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's get a look at this thing. Holy smoke, that looks and smells absolutely amazing. So there you go, guys. I am really, really happy with this so far. Let's get this pork butt out of here. I'm gonna try not to make a huge mess. Test out these gloves from Hey Grill Hey this way too. Try to leave our chili in there. There we go. So I did roll it over. You can see, like I was saying, we're sitting here basically pull the bone out tender and it's only 185. So whenever you have a pork butt or something like this that's totally submerged inside of, you know, liquid like this, you can expect it's going to be done a lot quicker. And also, we don't want this to be shred pork, like it'll just turn to mush. What we're doing instead is we're going to take this pork and cube it up. Like you can tell, it's going to break and stuff like that. By the time we're done here, it's gonna be fork tender. It's gonna be awesome. Let me take off one of these gloves. So there we go. Get the knife out. Let's cube this up. We're gonna put this right back inside and stir this up. We're gonna try to save as much of this juice that's rolling off as possible. Now you could also, if you wanted to, there's a lot of fat sitting right up on top of here. Now's a good opportunity to get some of that fat out of there if you want. I'm gonna leave it in for now. So a little tip real quick while we're thinking about these gloves, what the instructions say on how to clean these is just leave them on and wash your hands. Just don't get any water up in this side right here. This is a nice cloth cuff, but this is all like one piece down here and there's some kind of a liner in it. I don't know what it is, but it's amazing. And I'm just gonna wipe it off real quick so I can handle this pot without getting all jujued. Let's get this up here and stir it and we'll take a look at it here. Oh man, yeah, it's coming together. There it is. We're gonna put this right back on there, but we're not gonna cover it up this time. We're gonna let it stay open at least, 30 or 45 minutes. And what that's gonna do is this juice is gonna kind of start to boil out, and we're gonna thicken while it's in there. One more good stir here. Scoop up all them chilies and stuff on the bottom. Get them up here on the top. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on there, and then I'll get the camera and I'll show you what we look like. Here we go. Look at that right there. Love it so much. Okay, so we're gonna let this thing cook here for about another 30 minutes or so, and then we're gonna check in on it. I'm gonna keep running this temperature up, somewhere around 275 to 300 probably. No sense in just like boiling it over. Anyway, we'll go from there. We're gonna let it kind of thicken up, so stay tuned. Okay guys, this is the moment I have been waiting for all day. Our chili is done, and I'm gonna get it out here. We're gonna dish us up a bowl of it. You ready for that? First thing we gotta do though, we gotta get some cilantro cut up. We're gonna garnish just a little bit with this. Okay, got us a little bit of cilantro there. Okay, and we got us a lime. Gonna have to put a little lime in that thing. All right, let's get this pot out. I also got a little bit of cajita cheese. We can't really get this around here, but I found a bag of it. Aaron calls cheese, my buddy Mr. Voigt calls it Midwest spice because we like cheese around here. So here we go. I'm gonna get that pot out. Use my Hey Grill Hey glove here. Oh yeah, look at that. I am pretty happy with this. Man, we're gonna be eating on this for a month. That pork is super tender. I'm gonna go ahead and dish me a bowl here, right here like this. There we go. Get some of that chilies in there. Garnish that with just a little bit of cilantro. Give us a good squeeze of some lime. And because I'm from Missouri, I'm gonna toss just a little bit of this here cajita cheese on there, just a little bit. Never know where that's gonna come from. That's some super good green chili right there. You get a bite of that right there. Here we go. Oh man, it's not too hot, just like we were saying. My buddy Richie, whenever he gets these chilies, he got the medium hot, and it's just really got a nice flavor too. There's the caramelized onions and stuff that we did early on. You can taste that carried all the way through. We've got that pork, those green chilies. Only thing that's missing is a tortilla. Here we go, more. Man, on a cold, wet, rainy, you can see my breath. It's been cold out here. I've had the doors open with the wind blowing. Rainy outside. Comfort food like this is like the way to go. If you want to be able to cook some of the stuff you see me cooking on this channel, get yourself a Smokeslinger. Go over to smokeslinger.com and you can check out. We've got two different direct heat pits, the mini and the full size, which I cooked on today. We've also got an offset called the Liberty 94. Be sure to check those out if you're looking for a pit. Also, if you're just getting into barbecue, or if you're looking for recipes and things like that, if you watch the videos on this channel, you can also go to our Smokeslinger Pit Owners group on Facebook, and you'll dive into a community there full of guys like me that are just ate up with this stuff. Plus, I take all of our recipes and things and I put them in a little thing over there called files. You can download those recipes and try them on your cooker. Anyway, till next time, I really appreciate you joining me today and watching this video. Keep your smoke thin and blue, and we'll see you on the flip side.